Hello and welcome to Expertage, a thought leadership initiative by QKS Group. I am Ajinkya Ingle, your host for today's discussion. Expertage brings together industry expert and our expert analyst to explore the critical topic within the information and technology domain, providing their valuable perspectives and knowledge sharing. And today we are going to have an exciting discussion about the AI and the flexibility of Eqip's vendor management system. And to discuss this, we are having a distinguished panel with us today from Eqip. And I'm excited to welcome Igor Putrenko, who is the founder and CEO of Eqip, and Tobias Smith, who is the Director of Business Development at Eqip. Eqip has been recognized as one of the top VMS platforms of 2024 by QKS Group's Spark Matrix. And today we will explore how their AI-driven solutions are transforming the vendor management system space. To deep dive in this, we have our very own Sriraj Amritraj, who is the analyst at QKS Group, who specializes in HR tech and vendor management system. Igor, Tobias, and Sriraj, welcome to Expertage. Sriraj, I would like to hand over this conversation to you to kick off today's
Thanks for having
discussion.
us.
Thank you. Thank you
Hey
so much,
guys.
Ajinkya. So thank you for introducing everyone on the call. So as Ajinkya already said, Eqip was recently recognized as one of the top VMS platforms of 2024 by QKS Group's Spark Metrics for global VMS systems. And at QKS, we have been, watching Eqip's growth closely since 2022. And honestly, their journey has been really inspiring for other VMS companies. And they have started as a B2B marketplace and then shifted to becoming a full-fledged, VMS system. And despite facing some tough competition, Eqip has made a strong impact in the EMEA region and is now expanding into North America and Asia. So without wasting the time, we can directly move on to the discussions. And Tobias, uh, could you give the audience a quick overview of what Eqip VMS is all about?
Absolutely. Happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah.
Basically, Keep is a vendor management system, state of the art, very new technology. It's a SaaS technology, and our external workforce engine includes a vendor management system, VMS, for the procurement, management, and invoicing of all kinds of external workforce. So blue collar, white collar, also services and SOW contracts. Then it has a digital MSP backbone, which digitizes client processes and also gets rid of a lot of manual work and processes so that our clients, but also MSP partners, can focus on workforce strategic initiatives. Then it has, in addition to that, a direct sourcing module, which is called WorkSource AI. It is for direct sourcing and internal talent visibility and management. There's a workforce management module available for all labor categories, which I mentioned before. Then one of the USPs we actually started with, and Igor will come to a little bit later on, is our B2B marketplace for external white-collar workforce with more than 8,000 suppliers globally and millions of talents across the globe. And last but not least, so to summarize everything, it's our technology automates the entire source-to-pay process for all kinds of external workforce and services, including, as mentioned before, SOW contracts.
Yes, Tobias. I remember you mentioning Eqip's integrated marketplace during our conversation, I think last year, which connects the suppliers and the talent globally. So if I'm not mistaken, you have also talked about your market differentiator, the VMS suite for enterprises and the VMS Lite for the SMB segment. So actually, that's a great strategy for making the deployment easier across different business sizes. And as the part of this discussion, could you highlight some of the key features and capabilities of Eqip VMS?
Absolutely. So there are actually a few differentiators to the current or incumbent systems on the market. So one of the main also USPs is we have one dashboard for all types of external workforce. So I mentioned it a couple of times already, but actually we can manage everything under one dashboard. So blue collar with all those crazy blue collar rules in Europe with different countries, then the white collar, which is rather easy. Plus, in addition to that, the SOW. In other systems, they have acquired, like maybe the usual suspects, they have acquired some blue-collar systems. You always have to log in and log out of the system. You never have this complete visibility or overview under one dashboard. Then it's in our system, we have a self-service for our hiring community. So we say, make everyone a buyer. You can give them the rights and responsibility to do things, to initiative or to initiate an initiative or a vacancy, for example. Then also we have this 20 years of technology advantage in comparison to the legacy systems. Our system was developed in the last 5 years. We have a complete new technology core. The marketplace I've mentioned a couple of times before is one of the biggest USPs. It's always optional. We have clients using just the marketplace, but we also have clients using everything together. WorkSource AI, the direct sourcing tool for direct sourcing and internal talent visibility. We have configurable workflows. We've been called the Lego of VMS before due to our new technology core. And in addition to that, we are also best in class, have been rated best in class by different agencies, rating agencies for the ease of use. The users cannot actually go left and right. It's really easy to understand and to click around and do the things you need to do. Of course, we also have a BI, a real-time BI with a reporting cube. We'll tell you a little bit later on about it. Plus, not to forget to mention, according to our clients, we have a world-class support. We are there for them. So we help them within minutes or sometimes hours and not within weeks.
Yes. Yes, Eqip is, I know that Eqip is one of the few pure VMS vendors that offers its own proprietary marketplace. So while external marketplaces are usually seen as an added feature in the VMS space, the vendors like Eqip are turning it into a trend that many vendors will likely to follow in the future. But now, moving to the interesting part of our discussion, as I mentioned earlier, that Eqip started out as a B2B marketplace and then grew into a VMS solution, right? So I'm curious, how did this transition happen? So how did Eqip come up with the idea of evolving into a VMS solution? Since Igor is the founder, I think he's the best person to give us some insight into that journey.
Thank you, Sriraj. Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, first of all, the transition was quite quick, right? It was basically transition from the marketplace into VMS happened within pretty much 24 months, which is a extremely kind of short timeline for the company lifetime, right? Why we started as marketplace? We saw an immediate basically demand from the clients who were short on tech talent, mainly tech talent at that time. Meanwhile, of course, the marketplace serves all pretty much any type of workforce, and that's how we started. We were lucky. We got lucky with the first few clients that were educated constantly as what else they need to automate, like timesheets, like approvals, interview scheduling, and so on and so forth. So if we divide the end-to-end automation we have today artificially into, let's say, source to contract and procure to pay. So, from request to contract and for, the whole administration, self-billing and invoicing, we were first getting a lot of feedback of these customers. And again, we were extremely lucky with them from enterprise customers on what else they need to automate, like interview automation, all the compliance things they want to see in the system, onboarding rules, screening, and so on and so forth. So we found ourselves naturally within the first 2 years to automate pretty much everything for the S2C, for the source to contract part, and already automating the P2P with all the assignment, engagement, contracts, timesheets, and eventually to self-billing and invoicing system that is, was live in over 30 countries at the beginning of this year and will be live in over 50 countries by Q1 2025. So it wasn't us, unfortunately. I would love to tell you that we were so smart saying we first go A, marketplace, and B, a full VMS solution. It was rather a big luck with the clients that were feeding us enormously with information. We actually found ourselves out after pretty much 1.5 years competing in the VMS market.
Yeah. So that was a great explanation of how Eqip evolved into a full-fledged VMS solution. And yeah, we know that Eqip stands out in its ability to handle all job types, whether it's a blue collar, white collar, or pink collar.
Correct.
So which puts you at the top of the list in terms of capabilities. So up to this point, we have been focusing mainly on Eqip's capabilities and its history as a VMS provider. Now let's shift the conversation towards how Eqip is adapting to current trends in the VMS market, like industry-specific VMS and AI integration. So both of these are gaining a lot of attention in the market today. So in industry-specific trend, the VMS is particularly strong in the healthcare sector, especially in North America and EMEA, where many vendors are targeting white and pink collar job types for healthcare recruitment. So how is Eqip adapting to this specific industry needs, and how is the AI trend transforming the Eqip platform and benefiting its users?
Well, maybe I start with AI part,
Mm.
as I'm closest to the product development, and then I'll let Toby explain some of the market examples of what we do with healthcare, with engineering, with finance clients, and what are the benefits of having one dashboard for all external workforce types. So, regarding AI, I think the topic is indeed, as you rightly mentioned, Sriraj, it's a big one. Everybody is interested in it over the last at least year or two. We've been interested into that since the beginning. We've been investing into AI. At that time, it was Google Vision AI. Now it's a combination of Google and Microsoft and OpenAI, of course. Over the last, so basically, the first investments, the first real products that were used by our clients were done pretty much over 5 years ago. So we've been working with AI pretty much for the whole history of the company, or almost the whole history of the company. The reason being is that we truly believe from the beginning that it is not a hype, not kind of a short-term trend. It is the future of the technology. That's what we believe today as well.
Yes.
And meanwhile, we expanded massively of all the use cases that we offer, and we are going to offer. Of course, we keep working on product constantly as we speak. But just to give you a few examples. On AI cases that is used day to day by our clients. So the first and the oldest example is the so-called, what is called in the Eqip's family, verified digital profile, which is basically a digital verified representation of what it used to be a CV, what used to be a resume of a person in PDF or Word format, etc. So the system will pick all the educational data, all the work data, etc., and validate against different sources to make sure that if you want, we have our own verified stamp in the tool, and it's not just for marketing purposes. It actually makes the whole life of our clients and our suppliers much easier, because they actually operate with A, verified data, and B, with the data that is extremely handy and exportable and searchable and basically manageable. That's important stuff. All right. And then we went on to further expand the AI features. Just a few examples. We have the so-called AI concierge, which is basically helping the clients identifying what type of transaction they actually need. Are they buying, for example, a service or an external person, or maybe a consultant, and so on and so forth. Another example is we have AI, generative AI, supporting all catalogs of projects or job descriptions or requisitions for those clients, especially in the mid-market segment. You don't always have the predefined catalog of jobs available for the searcher, for the line manager to be used when you go to the market. So that's where the AI can be particularly helpful and is helping them every day, as far as we see from the usage of the system. We also have we went further with so one of the product of the VMS of the Eqip VMS is called Shortlist, which basically kind of a white gloves representation of your selected candidates, which has been screened, verified, interviewed by searcher. So you don't have to do much. You just have to focus on real talents, because these talents have been verified according to company requirements. They've been interviewed again, and their motivation is clear. Start date, rates, everything you need basically. What you had as a part of the shortlist as well is an assessment of the searcher saying how good this candidate is. Now, on top of that, we have the AI that is assessing the same candidate and gives a second opinion. So despite you already have the opinion of the searcher, of your vendor, of how good this candidate is and why this candidate is actually relevant for a project, you have basically the AI doing the same job from the AI perspective, saying, well, I think it's also a very good candidate, or maybe it has some other ideas, even with the scoring in percentage. And what we find out is often the not to not to criticize our vendors or the company vendors, but sometimes AI knows even more than the vendors themselves, because AI obviously has an access to the knowledge and can process it much faster. So their scoring of the candidates is often even more important than the scoring of the vendor. And last but not least, sorry, I don't want to take all the time on this question. We basically try to replace the whole first interview step with AI by number one, providing the full assessment of the candidate by AI. So all the hard skills at least, and all the language requirements and all this stuff is assessed versus your dear customer project requirement, so that you get the exact matching map basically of this candidate. So that's point number one. And point number two, if that is not enough, you can run the assessment. It's kind of time limited assessment. You say, I want to have tricky questions being answered by this candidate within the limited time frame of 5 minutes, for example, 7 or 10 or 3, depends on the complexity of your questionnaire, as kind of if you want, an assessment test. So basically the whole first level interview step is outsourced to AI if you want, so that then you can focus only on the personal skills, on the interpersonal communication, whether the person matches the team or not. So go straight to the second interview. That was pretty much about AI today. And of course, we'll be happy if we have time to talk about what's coming next.
Yeah. So thanks, Igor, for
Tobias.
giving us the idea about how AI is working in the VMS. So I think Tobias is the best person to answer how industry-specific VMS is going to evolve in the next year. Over to you, Tobias.
Yeah, exactly. Getting back to your question, like regarding specific industry needs, thanks to our new technology core, a major point how we actually tackle those different industry needs is the flexibility of the VMS. We can easily configure things on the fly in the technology. So examples for that would be certain workflows a client has, for example, compliance settings with different things that have to be sent out for, let's say, tenure time or equal pay. Then blue collar rules, which are different from country to country, especially Europe is a playground for that. And the roles and responsibilities that you can easily configure in the system just via a few clicks, basically. Any change requests we can configure within a couple of hours or sometimes couple of days for our clients, because everything is so flexible, including the dashboard. You can configure that also on the fly, plus the BI. We have a reporting cube, which I've mentioned before, which can easily, or where our clients can easily generate reports on the fly for any given data point in the system. And there's so many other things we could talk about, but it's what I just wanted to make to say. It's a completely flexible. It's easy to use, and that's how we tackle the different specific industry needs. In regards to examples, for example, for the pharma sector, pharma in general is a highly regulatory environment. There, for example, we have a client that is using our technology in 35 countries globally, just via one instance. It's just not 2 or 3, it's just one instance, which also makes it easier and cheaper for this client. It is live in many different European countries with all those different blue collar rules. It's a full end-to-end and source-to-pay process, including self-billing and invoicing, and it's completely integrated in their IT landscape. with SSO, Active Directory, the ERP, the HCM, badge system, and not to forget to mention, we have replaced the incumbent system, which is also a pretty prominent one, but this one wasn't capable to do so. Like one thing, especially for this client, I can tell you about, they highly appreciated, was the mask correction functionality. Because the client actually missed some blue-collar legislation change and had to correct thousands of timesheets even 6 months back. Another example would be an engineering client. Engineering in general has a lot of project-based focus. This client is using our technology in a few European countries, has a lot of black-collar workers on different assignments with different engagement rules at the same time, also with different POs. When I talk about different engagement rules, Switzerland is a good playground for that again, because we have different cantons with different holidays, different rules, different legislations, and this is easy for us to cope or to map in our system. Then also not to forget the statement of work management with a lot of project management focus, like milestones, deadlines, or budget constraints, or notifications that have to be sent out in case something, for example, if it's a hybrid one, so tenure time is approached or a certain budget is approached. So you can easily configure that on the system as you want. So every client is different. For every client, the system also looks differently. The last example I would like to give you is finance sector. We have quite a few clients in the finance sector, especially Switzerland, with the big banking industry. They have high security demands. For example, there our VMS enhances data security and especially compliance for self-employment, which is also a big topic in Germany or everywhere, basically now in Europe. With different, our system has different decision trees, helping them choosing the same or correct type of contract. So they are completely compliant.
Yeah. So thank you, Tobias. Thank you, Tobias. So the AI-driven examples Igor shared were very insightful, and the Tobias also perfectly explained the importance of configuration and flexibility in the VMS solution. So, of course, this goes beyond just industry-specific solutions and applies across various sectors, not limited to healthcare. And as you know, the discussion of configuration and flexibility will always end up in the integration capability, the so-called the API integration capability of a VMS platform. So as we all know, the API integration layer is very important for the users, as the VMS platforms require seamless bidirectional data transfer with systems like ATM, CRM, HCM, ERP, and other point solutions. So could you explain on how Eqip handles these integration needs?
Maybe I take this again as a more technical. So indeed, I mean, the VMS without integration, of course, exists maybe for the mid-market, for the SMBs, but that is not the case for large enterprises. So as to the integrations, we believe the set of public open APIs are not enough nowadays for our clients. So we actually offer a combination of the public and private APIs to our clients, making sure it is flexible enough to be tailored to their needs. Yeah. So even if the same industry client or the same size client would use Workday, they may have a slightly different interfaces on Workday, for example, for the reasons related to their internal processes, right? So we offer that flexibility. We don't offer saying, okay, this is the book of our open APIs. Go with it, and there is no other flexibility possible. So we're a bit more flexible in that respect. From the scope of the APIs we're offering today, of course, there's like usual suspects that everybody's doing, like starting from single sign-on, identity access management, corporate directory, and so on and so forth. Getting into the HCM systems such as Workday, where we collaborate on the requisitioning level, both on requisitioning and workforce level. So basically, maybe intake and requisition from Workday, and then transferring the worker data, the basic worker data for accountability purposes back to Workday. As an example, we interface a lot with ERP and the procurement systems for the purposes of budgeting, so PO, purchase ordering rules, be it an umbrella PO for the bunch of let's say spend, or the individual POs per headcount. Every client is different in that respect, and every client is different per country even, or per legal entity. So they have slightly different rules. Then there's a lot of efficiency gain from the interfacing with the client system, of course, because it saves them a lot of time. We also have the cases where the certain processes, for example, in SAP, were completely skipped because of having a modern VMS system. For example, so-called BANF, or requisitioning process in SAP, could be completely basically overruled by the modern system like an Eqip, without having to bypass the ERP PO processes, purchase order processes, right? So so we had clients. We've developed the case studies with clients, use cases, business cases, better to say, together with them, where according to their calculation, they can save up to 40 to even 50% of the, let's say, manual effort by implementing APIs. And whatever from APIs perspective, again, be it ERP systems, HCM systems, ATS systems, applicant tracking systems, even sometimes contract management systems, batch systems. We offer a lot. We try to keep our offering flexible enough by combining the public and private APIs. And we see a lot of added value for our clients for that.
Yeah. So thank you, Igor, for that great explanation. So I just want to ask one more question. So as the founder of Eqip, Igor, how do you see the future of the VMS market evolving, and how do you envision Eqip fitting into the needs and trends of the future VMS landscape?
Thank you. That's a very good question. Let me look at my crystal ball, so to speak. No, the future is bright. That's what we believe at Eqip. What we try to do. So maybe we start with the VMS market, right? I think the future is bright for the VMS market for the reason is in the history. The reason why we optimistic about this market is when you look at the history of VMS market, right? So if you take even the past 20 years, with all the crises of the very recent one, pandemic, then 2008, etc., you've seen the VMS market, or external workforce market, better to say staffing and external workforce market, been growing in good and bad times, right? Of course, 2024 is not an easy year neither. I'm not avoiding this, but nevertheless, you see that overall for decades has been growing steadily in good and bad economic times. There's always a reason for that, because obviously the corporates are no longer as it used to be like 20 years ago, where you can have a job for life basically with one client, with one company. The workforce become more flexible. The new generation become even more flexible, right? So we have to adapt, and the buyers have to adapt, i.e. the clients have to adapt to that. So therefore, you see a lot more focus on external workforce in all type of the transactions you may imagine, be it the services, be it the consultant, be it the contractors, etc. So we believe this will be growing. Yeah. So that's from the market perspective, we are extremely positive, or reasonably positive. From the product itself, we have kind of twofold target. The A is not to make despite constant flow of new features to our clients, we don't want to end up in limbo of having thousands of features to the client and a thick book to read first before you're even able how to operate the system. So how do you keep the simplicity of the product while bringing new features on the market? That's actually quite a tricky thing in technology, but we still try to that's always top priority for our product development team, not to overcomplicate things. Yeah, and things sadly becoming more complicated with the regulations, especially in blue collar domain and everything with union agreements and so on and so forth. So certain things are complicated for the reason, but in general, 80% of the usage of the system have to be extremely intuitive and has to be extremely, in a digital era, have to match digital era basically. And the second point is the following. We believe that we would continue adapting towards the behavior of the client in terms of how people buy, how people procure, and what they procure, being the clients. So, for example, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we used to deal with just contractors being the only or almost the only category in the external workforce. Now we have a lot of SOW, services procurement, agile projects based on story points, sprint sheets, that won't have you. Certain expressions didn't even exist 20 years ago. You know what I mean? So actually the behavior of what people buy and how they do it transforms the product industry, transform the technology industry as well. So we have to be able to adjust the product towards the client needs. The product have to be flexible enough to be able to adjust it, right? And that's what we try to keep also in 5 years from now. Let me not talk about 10 years perspective, to make sure that our what our clients call Lego of VMS, so our flexibility remains on top of the agenda. So we are able to support client behavior in terms of what and how they buy and procure in future, without bringing over complexity.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't overcomplicate the answer.
No. Yeah. So thank you, Igor and Tobias, for joining us today and providing such valuable insights into the evolution and the capabilities of Eqip VMS. So we truly appreciate your time and insights today, and we look forward to seeing Eqip continue to grow and lead in this space. Over to you, 𝐻'𝐤.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Igor.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Igor. Thank you, Tobias and Sriraj, for such an insightful discussion. I mean, the expertise that you have shared has shared some that how Eqip is leading the VMS market with its innovative AI-driven features and the flexible solutions tailored to various industries. To our audience, thank you for joining us today's Expert Edge. We hope you found this session informative and thought-provoking. Stay tuned for more such discussions with the industry leaders and experts. Until next time, keep exploring and advancing in the information and technology domain. Goodbye. Thank you.